Alright, people, so it is getting close to Halloween, so you know what that means. It's a spooky season. So, in honor of that, I think it's time to I think it's about time we head down memory lane into one of my most favorite zones in Classic, Duskwood. But I still need to complete Duskwood. The last thing I left off at was like the whole reconstruction with what's the guy's name, Abercrombie and his wife. Like he was trying to bring his dead wife back, but by having me doing like little side quests in order to get like the pieces, kind of like a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. Incredible. Like the quest line, bro, was so good, bro. And everything with like stitches and like the Night's Watch, bro. That place was goated. I need to finish it. What? And then there was that ghost lady who believed like she was like hideous, or like she didn't really want to like look at herself in like any kind of mirror, something like that. Nevertheless, so good. It was so good. So let's get into this retrospect of Vanilla Duskwood.
The 4 human zones in classic World of Warcraft.
Oh, this is also made by someone named Lurker. Like this is like, at least at the time I'm recording this, uploaded 3 days ago. I might need to check out the rest of his stuff, depending on how this video is. I mean, it's pretty long, so I'm sure it's like very good, very detailed.
Some of the game's finest. Rich storylines, captivating environments, and a cozy atmosphere made them a joy to play through then and a delight to revisit now. But one of these zones casts a darker shadow than the others, and for that reason, for many of us, it has buried...
If I remember correctly, Duskwood was a land it has like some kind of curse. There's a curse on the land. I forgot. How did they get that curse? I believe it was the Legion. That like, I can't really remember it. I see, it's been a minute. It might be explained. Most likely, it's explained.
Deep in our memories of the game. As you near the end of your journeys through the Kingdom of Stormwind, the warmth of Goldshire and the rustic charm of Westfall give way to a place where comfort, sunshine, and even life itself are in short supply.
Bro, even the music.
A place where every quest seems to unearth darker, more disturbing secrets
of
the kingdom's past. Welcome back to the World of Warcraft Zone Retrospective series, where we look back on our favorite WoW zones to explore their lore, layout, quests, narrative design, gameplay experience, unforgettable memories, and lasting legacy to ultimately uncover what it is exactly that makes each zone so special. In today's episode, we're venturing into Duskwood, land of undeath and eternal darkness, home to some of the most memorable quests in the game, which many have dubbed the creepiest zone in classic World of Warcraft.
Let's go.
In the world of e-commerce, it's always crunch time, especially for your cash flow.
Duskwood is located in the south of the eastern continent. As part of the Kingdom of Stormwind, it shares borders with its 3 sister zones, Westfall to the west, Redridge Mountains to the northeast, and Elwyn Forest to the north. To its south lies the Stranglethorn Jungle, and to the east, the ominous Deadwind Pass.
Bro, I still need to get to Stranglethorn and Deadwind. Like, there's so many zones I never completed.
Notably, there was no real demarcation between Duskwood and the lower level zones it shared borders with, except for a small river. This lack of clear boundaries meant that low-level adventurers, especially those questing in southern Elwyn, might be tempted by curiosity to cross the river.
You can just wander in there.
Explore the gloomy land they spied on the other side. But that curiosity was quickly punished. As they ventured deeper, the adventurous music of Elwyn gets replaced by an eerie drone. Get enveloped by thick fog, and yellow eyes blink menacingly from the shadowy bushes.
That's in game?
Before long, you'd find yourself torn apart by spiders and wolves whose levels were too high for you to gauge. This design choice served 2 purposes. First, it taught new players the importance of respecting level boundaries in a memorable, if somewhat traumatic way. Second, it provided a glimpse of the darker themes and more challenging enemies that awaited them when they were experienced enough to revisit the zone. This clever use of environmental storytelling and difficulty scaling helped build anticipation and create
Yo,
a sense
yes,
of
the
progression
Worgans.
that kept players eager to level up and return to brave the horrors of Duskwood. And return they would. Usually by way of Lakeshire and Redridge, players would find themselves back in Duskwood, spending much of their level 18
Yep,
to early
18.
30s bracket questing in this delightfully scary land. The main quest hub, Darkshire, stands in stark contrast to the brighter, more inviting zones in the kingdom of Stormwind. As its name implies, it's shrouded in darkness, its buildings withered or abandoned. Yet, for a quest hub, it boasts a surprisingly large footprint. The town isn't short on inhabitants either, thanks largely to the Night Watch, a torch-wielding militia that patrols the streets in droves, lending the town both a sense of life and an air of constant danger. Before long, players find themselves venturing out to explore the zone, likely heading west down the main road that connects Darkshire to Raven Hill, the biggest questing destination that has you
There it is.
biggest questing destination that has you return
Yep.
the big
Dude, don't pull aggro.
the biggest questing destination that has you returning time and time again to subdue the undead threats in the area. Good lord, we finally did it. From a level design perspective,
Oh, the
Duskwood
Great
is
Baldy.
remembered for two key things. First, its questing path is, by modern standards, incredibly inefficient. The quests have players making the long trek back
Yes.
and forth between Raven
That's
Hill.
that's the only like downside. I mean, it does really make you feel small in the world, but the fact that you have to run from the hub all the way down that stretch of road into Raven Hill, then run all the way back. Like, it's time consuming, but like it's very memorable in a sense.
in Darkshire, more times than anyone cares to count. An issue that could have been avoided had designers simply bundled the stages of questlines a bit more intelligently.
Yeah.
Second, the zone is notorious for its two high-level elite patrols, an abomination lumbering along the main road,
Yep.
and a skeletal knight haunting Raven Hill itself,
Yep.
both of which have a knack for catching unwary adventurers off guard, sending them back to the graveyard and exacerbating the already burdensome travel load.
But probably one of the worst things, besides like those two like mobs, would be like the high level horde players that would just slaughter you. Like, you would just get demolished. Like, they would just be waiting in bushes. It's awesome though, because you really get a sense of feeling of like the actual classic days when players used to like do that kind of stuff, like interact in that kind of way. It's great. It's annoying after a while, but it was fun. It was so fun.
Despite these inconveniences, Duskwood remains a well-loved zone. What we might call bad journey design brings a level of old RPG charm that,
True.
if not appealing, is at least tolerable. Where Duskwood lacks in game design efficiency, it more than compensates with its aura, namely through its creepy storyline and dark, foreboding environment.
Yep,
Two
that same
elements
witch.
we'll cover
Well,
later in the
ghosts.
video. But let's cover its landmarks first. Outside of the derelict farms and orchards that litter the zone, most of them are direct questing destinations.
Ah, that orchard, yep.
Darkshire, the main quest hub, a gloomy town with an aesthetic that makes it perfect for any Hollow's End gathering, which serves as a bastion of relative safety amidst the surrounding horrors. Raven Hill, an abandoned town turned sprawling cemetery with underground mausoleums, serving as a focal point for many of the zone's undead-related quests. The Tranquil Gardens Cemetery, a vast graveyard teeming with undead, offering a stark contrast between its peaceful name and the grim reality. The Frostmage skeletons wandering the grounds really complete the eerie vibe.
True.
The Twilight Grove,
Hate those
the sole
things.
area of Duskwood free from the surrounding curse, home to an emerald dream portal which spawns a nightmare dragon world boss.
Bro, I know that's there, but I've never been there. How do I get there? Bro, I need to head back into Duskwood. Like once you open the map, like, this is there. But again, I've never accessed this in Duskwood before. Huh.
The Unknown Soldier's Grave. Following the road east toward Deadwind Pass behind the Beggar's Haunt, you can find a pathway leading to a hidden, unmarked grave, watched over by two mysterious hooded figure statues. No official explanation for the grave was ever given, but in Cataclysm, a unique rare spawn called the Unknown Soldier was added to the grave, deepening its mystery and granting its name.
I never
And
knew that.
Mordor Ogre Mound, an area overtaken
That's
by
sick.
ogres, presumably from nearby Deadwind Pass, adding a different flavor of threat to the zone. With so much of the zone in such a decrepit state, from abandoned homes to overrun cemeteries, from cursed woods to mysterious graves, it really begs the question, what exactly transformed this once peaceful land into the nightmare realm we now know as Duskwood?
Oh,
Unlike
here we go.
many
We're
other
getting into it.
zones, Duskwood's tragic history and evolution is relatively recent. Once, Duskwood was a beautiful stretch of farmland,
Right.
forest, and small towns. It served both as a staple in Stormwind's food production and as a desirable vacation spot for locals. But over time, curses and darkness began to seep into the land. The corruption first crept in from the east, as the darkness emanating from Karazhan Tower and Deadwind Pass brought gloom to the skies and robbed plant life,
Wait, Karazhan is it also in Classic?
decimating the livelihoods of the zone's inhabitants. Yet, Duskwood's fate would grow even darker. Sometime after the Third War, an artifact of great consequence found its way to these once peaceful forests. A quest originating in distant Ashenvale puts you on the trail of a night elf named Valinda Starsong. Valinda was divinely granted a weapon called the Scythe of Elune, capable of summoning armies of worgen to aid its wielder. She initially used the weapon to destroy the Burning Legion's forces during their invasion of what would later become Felwood. However, she
Oh, there's a Felwood.
began to lose control over the scythe, finding the worgen pouring into the world of their own volition, their numbers growing at a much greater pace than she intended, or could control. Desperate to halt the uncontrolled summoning, Valinda set out on a journey across the sea to meet with the only other person on Azeroth known to have brought worgen into the world, Archmage Aragol of Silverpine Forest. Fate, however, had other plans. Valinda met her end before she reached her destination, and the Scythe of Elune was lost in the shadowy forests of Duskwood. But the worst was yet to come. Foul worgen began to overtake large swaths of Duskwood, while undead armies amassed in its great cemeteries. The tranquil woods had officially transformed into a realm of terror. Faced with slaughter on a scale not seen since the Second War, the people of Duskwood banded together in the town of Darkshire. There, they formed a militia, the Night Watch, commanded by Ebbenlock.
Okay, so basically it was just an amalgamation of curses and the results of I mean, yeah, a little bit of the Legion, but it's mostly just an amalgamation of curses and everything spilling over from Karazhan
To stand against the myriad threats that now plagued their land.
and
And
Worgens.
help from the kingdom was not forthcoming. With Stormwind's leadership compromised by Onyxia the Broodmother, disguised as Lady Katrana Prestor,
Yep.
the people of Duskwood were left to face these evils alone. Now, rumors swirl of dark riders scouring the land for artifacts, of vile necromancers, lost souls, malicious revenants, and vengeful spirits, all encroaching on the vulnerable woodlands. The people of Duskwood cling to hope, lucky to receive any aid at all from passing adventurers. Yet many questions remain unanswered. The scourge of undeath ravaged distant Lordaeron, so why do the dead walk here? What are the mysterious riders seeking, and who do they serve? And why does every curse and foul thing imaginable seem drawn to the groves of Duskwood? To unravel these mysteries, we'll have to turn our attention to the narrative that unfolds alongside the player as they journey through Duskwood. Duskwood's plot revolves
this is getting
around
good.
aiding the Night Watch in their desperate effort to secure Darkshire and reclaim the surrounding territories, in the process unraveling the many mysteries surrounding the land, its fate, and its inhabitants. 4 major questlines drive the narrative, each culminating in a horrifying revelation about the afflictions that plague the zone. To get into character, we'll be undertaking these tasks as a lordly paladin. By the light, we're going to cleanse this land of its undead taint, one auto attack at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, Paladins is just an Autobot. Like, it's literally an Autobot in Classic. That's why I had to go Warrior, for, just so I can be able to press something. I love the class, but it's just the auto, just standing there, man, just auto attacking, man, feeling like a RuneScape. Just, huh? Yeah. Wait, is Star Citizen out of beta? It's in alpha. Okay.
First is the tale of
Good
a
ad,
shadowy
good ad.
figure, the Dark Riders and the haunting of Duskwood. Along the hushed bank west of Raven Hill, we encounter Sven Jorgen at his lonely camp. Sven shares his tragic tale. While away on business, his family was slaughtered on their farm by a mysterious force from Deadwind Pass, the Dark Riders. He implores us to investigate the scene. There, we discover a journal written by the sole witness to the murders.
Bro, I don't even
but
think I've
crucial
gotten this
information
far.
is missing, leaving the full story just out of reach. Our inquiries lead us back to Darkshire, where we eventually pick up a lead about a jittery man hiding out near Raven Hill. The trail leads us to a man aptly named Jitters.
Ah, jitters.
Confronting Jitters, he nervously hands over the rest of his journal, and we find its complete contents tell the other side of the saga begun by the night elf Valinda Starsong. We learn that Jitters, while on Defias business, stumbled upon the Scythe of Elune in a mine called Roland's Doom, where Valinda must have met her fate. His disturbance of the artifact tore open a portal, unleashing a pack of Worgen on the criminals. Only Jitters escaped the carnage, fleeing to hide in the barn on Sven Jorgen's farmstead. Jitters' escape, however, was far from the end of the tragedy. His disturbance of the Scythe unleashed more than just Worgen upon Duskwood. It was here that he first saw the Dark Riders. Hidden in the shadows of Sven's barn, Jitters watched in horror as the Riders interrogated Sven's wife in search of the Scythe. Despite her valiant attempt to sacrifice herself to save her children, the Riders used a mysterious bauble to consult their unseen lord. Seeing through her deception, the Lord ordered the brutal dismemberment of the entire family.
Damn.
As the Riders departed to continue their search, a traumatized Jitters fled once more, this time to the relative safety of Raven Hill, and Sven was left to return and behold the grisly scene. Returning the complete journal to Jorgen, he pieces together the grim puzzle. The Riders' lord must be none other than Morbant Fell, the necromancer who has claimed Forlorn Row in Raven Hill.
Ooh.
Fell, it seems, is the architect behind the undead plague ravaging the region. So now we have the full picture. The Scythe of Elune not only brought the Worgen to Duskwood, but by way of the Dark Riders and Morbant Fell, led to the infestation of undead as well. With this newfound knowledge, the path is clear. Morbant Fell needs to be stopped, but that's easier said than done. To pierce Fell's dark protections, we'll need to travel the world, gathering materials infused with light from heroes past, to forge a weapon capable of defeating Fell, Morbant's Bane. Armed with the light-blasting Morbant's Bane, we return to Forlorn Row and battle our way to finally confront Morbant Fell in his bedroom lair. We put an end to the Necromancer's grip on this zone, dealing a blow against the dark forces of Duskwood and, in the process, discovering what brought it there in the first place.
Damn. Cleansing the land, bro.
The next mystery begins at a secluded grave set apart from the main grounds of Raven Hill Cemetery. The name Mor Ladimore is etched into the headstone, and, alarmingly, the soil appears freshly disturbed. Concerned, we seek out Duskwood's town historian and Night's Watch commander. They give us a tome that imparts the tale of
Morgan
Mor
Ladimore.
Ladimore. Ladimore was once a paragon of virtue, a noble knight who tirelessly defended the poor, innocent, and afflicted of his kingdom. So great was his devotion to good that he left behind his wife and 3 children to defend the people of Lordaeron
Damn.
in the Third War. But when he returned years later, Ladimore found Duskwood transformed, shrouded in darkness and overrun by the undead. His home lay in ruins with no trace of his family to be found. After days of frantic searching, he turned to Ravenhill Cemetery, hoping against hope not to find his family's names etched in stone. There, to his horror, he discovered his wife's grave. Consumed by grief and rage, he lost all reason. He desecrated his wife's resting place before turning his blade on a group of innocent cemetery attendants. When clarity finally returned and he saw the carnage he had wrought, Ladimore plunged his own knife into his heart, seeking to end his anguish.
Bro, classic quests, bro, that it's simple, but it's so good. This is so good. I haven't even done this. I'm still gonna do it. Damn, bro. Like I mean, of course, man. Like, look, I started with a little bit of retail, went to classic back at retail, but I always had like such a huge respect for classic in the time I did it, because it's so simple and like so bare bones, and it gets to like the root of a lot of things. Damn, bro, just this simple quest of this man leaving his family to go fight for his country, returning to find that his whole family has been decimated, bro. In that anguish, in that pain, like he lashes out, bro. That's so real and it's so human, and I guess that's what really makes classic so great and makes classic, because it does really speak to a lot of like human elements and human emotion, even though this is like a fantasy game. This is so good. It's simple, but it's heavy, you know?
But you can't take the easy way out from deeds as foul as his. Unable to stay dead, Ladimore clawed his way from his grave, now roaming the cemetery as a spirit of pure hatred, indiscriminately murdering under the name Mor Ladimore. With Ladimore's tragic fate illuminated, we return to Ravenhill to finally put his tormented spirit to rest. With the help of a few other adventurers and...
Bro, so that's that elite that's just walking around that barn, bro. Oh. Wow. Wow.
A lobby or two who's grown sick of dying to the ghoul, we put an end to Mor Ladim's reign of terror.
Wow.
For now. In a twist of fate,
for now,
we discover that one of Ladimore's daughters still lives, serving as a member of the Night Watch. Heartbroken by the circumstances of her father's fate, she asks us to place a cherished family ring on his grave. And as we do, the wind carries his ghostly voice for the last time. Learning of his daughter's survival, Ladimore finds the peace that eluded him in undeath. With his soul finally at rest, he grants us his sword, Arceus, as a token of gratitude.
Go to motionarray.com and enter a world with over 2 million creative assets to bring your vision to life.
Bro, so good. This is so good. The nice old hermit. Abercrombie. This has to be Abercrombie. But bro, that Ladimore like quest line, that is oh boy, bro, that's good. That is, bro. Let's keep going.
During our dealings in Darkshire, the Caravan family asks us to check on a hermit who once frequented the town,
Oh
now
boy.
lives in seclusion.
Oh
near Ravenhill.
God, no. It's
We
Abercrombie.
meet the hermit, an old man named Abercrombie, whose
Oh, no.
suspicious giggling should be our first red flag.
Yep.
But ignoring his unsettling demeanor and the bizarre nature of his requests, we mindlessly embark on a series of morbid errands for him, collecting ghost hair.
And bro, I didn't even realize it until, like, he always, like, people would always keep mentioning about, like, you know, some items that we were getting, you know, being able to like kind of like, I mean, not so much bring the dead to life, but like they'll kind of like drop little nuggets of that.
Zombie juice, ghoul ribs, and other mysterious supplies. All the while, we overlook his creepy laughter, backhanded insults, and slip-ups
Yep.
that are
Yep.
really a dead giveaway about his true intentions.
Mm-hmm.
When we finally finish all of his dirty work, Abercrombie asks us for one final favor, delivering an encrypted message to Darkshire's mayor. Surely it's just a note of praise and gratitude for our help, and
The hell, bro? What's
oh no. Wait, did we just do that? Fuck. The quest's final act reveals Abercrombie's tragic backstory. Once a kind man, he descended into madness after his wife's death.
Mm-hmm.
Twisted attempt to resurrect her, he placed his own heart in her body. While this revived her, it didn't halt her decay, and instead left her with an insatiable hunger for human flesh. Too weak to end her life again, Abercrombie buried her behind his shed, where she has been scratching at the coffin wood ever since, and he developed a hatred for humanity that would consume his remaining years.
Crazy
Our final
bastard.
task is to unearth the hermit's wife, end her torment, retrieve the heart, and return it to Darkshire, finally putting a stop to the embalmer's terrors.
Bro, see, that's why I stopped, man, because I didn't know, like, once you raise his wife, like, two elites just start attacking you, and I think I have to do this with a group, but I still need to complete just this quest.
While Abercrombie's duplicity is now common knowledge, imagine the shock of the first few players to ever discover the horror they just unwittingly wrought on their fellow levelers.
Yep.
The Stitches quest is actually a hilarious meta-commentary by Blizzard. Developer logs sometimes discuss how the feeling of forward progress took precedence over story coherence 100% of the time. Abercrombie's ill intentions are glaringly obvious, but when faced with the choice between saving Darkshire or gaining a quick burst of XP, players invariably choose the latter, at the expense of everyone else in the zone. And
Yeah.
it's for the best. Stitches breathes life into Duskwood. He terrorizes the road, even killing a bunch of Night's Watch quest givers along the way,
Yep.
making it impossible to turn in quests for a time, before lumbering up to the gates of Darkshire itself, where a memorable RP event that players can participate in takes place.
Bro, I'm mad that he didn't drop anything good when I killed him. He didn't drop anything good.
Lastly, what might be known as the creepiest quest in all of Classic WoW, the Legend of Stalvan. The tale begins when Madame
Bro, I still need to play through this quest as well. I believe I picked it up, but I never actually went through it because I was stuck on Abercrombie.
of Darkshire summons us, gripped by a premonition of her granddaughter facing grave danger at the hands of a man named Stalvan. This puts us on a scavenger hunt across the kingdom of Stormwind, tracing Stalvan's footsteps. In Moonbrook's abandoned schoolhouse, we uncover his journal entries, revealing he was displaced as a teacher. Goldshire's Inn yields records of his work as a private tutor. Stormwind's canals hide writings expressing his unsettling fascination with his young student, Tiloa. At Eastvale Logging Camp, we find evidence of Stalvan misinterpreting Tiloa's innocent kindness as romantic love.
No, bro. No, bro. This is not a Blizzard Entertainment game. This is not in a Blizzard Entertainment game, bro. I refuse to believe. I don't think this is real. I don't think this is real. This has to be AI. This has to be something else that's fake. This cannot be in Classic. There's no way. There's no way, bro. And again, yeah, a lot of you guys are gonna say, "Oh, man, yeah, it's a different time. It's a different Blizzard with different teams," bro. I can't believe how different Blizzard really was. I cannot believe this.
As we piece together more fragments of Stalvan's journal, we witness
For a certain Most certain she shares the same feelings for me now. She even placed her hand on mine this morning. When she smiles, her eyes light up, bro.
His obsession with Taloa devolving from misguided to twisted and finally to outright depraved. Whispers of a bloody massacre at a noble estate reach our ears, while forlorn spirits dog our steps, seeming to warn us against digging any deeper. The horrifying truth takes shape when we discover Stalvan's final writings. Consumed by jealousy and rage upon seeing Taloa with a young suitor, and hearing her introduce him as merely a nice old man, Stalvan snapped. Picking up his axe, he vowed to slaughter the entire family, and...
Yeah, GoDaddy Arrow
God.
is so easy. AI built me a...
Nah, go back.
now with a mountain of
Freaking ad, bro.
jealousy and rage upon seeing Taloa
Get an ad blocker, guys. Please, get an ad blocker.
with a young suitor, and hearing her introduce him as merely a nice old man, Stalvan snapped. Picking up his axe, he vowed to slaughter the entire family, and... Now, with a mountain of evidence, we bring the news to Commander Ebenlock and inform Madame Ava of the threat. She tasks us with one final duty, to bring Stalvan to justice. We find Stalvan
Bring him to justice. All we need is a tree and a rope. That's literally all we need.
rotting alone in a cottage, his evil made manifest in his flesh, having decayed into a revenant you can barely call human anymore. We put the monster down, bringing a measure of peace to Madame Ava and closure to Stalvan's victims. But rumors speak of the cursed axe Stalvan used in his rampage, and how it still lurks in Duskwood's shadowy forests, waiting to fall into the...
Wait, season discovery phase 2. Holy, we can get this axe, bro. I don't think I want this axe, bro. I don't want this axe. There's too much. It's too dirty. This is too dirty of a weapon. yeah, no.
hands of the next evildoer. The quests
Bro.
we've just explored form the core of Duskwood's narrative, while there are additional kill quests involving the war
Bro,
game.
and how the crazy thing about all of this is,
The Legend of Stalvan.
bro,
The tale begins
hold
when
on.
Madame Ava of Darkshire summons us, gripped by a premonition of her granddaughter facing grave danger at the hands of a man named
Bro, and the thing is, this is, bro, how young do you think this kid is, bro? This kid looks like freaking 8, 7. Bro, I can't believe this is a Blizzard game, bro. Like, this is blowing. I haven't gotten this far into Duskwood. I literally have a hard time believing that this is a Blizzard game, bro. I can't believe that Blizzard, like, they went the distance on like a lot of quests that like really hits home. Like, they were really innovative. They were, bro. What happened to Blizzard? Well, I mean, I know what happened to Blizzard, but bro, Blizzard, bro. I mean, it's crazy, but like, it's sick. It's twisted, but like, it's great because, again, it's pushing that boundary, bro. And like, a lot of people say that, yeah, you know, Blizzard, they're playing it safe. They don't really do that anymore. Again, I'm just a new guy looking at everything. Yeah, I don't have, you know, legs to really say what is and what isn't. But again, a majority of the community has kind of rallied around that principle. So I mean, again, I'm just looking at everything how it is.
Fell questlines. But worth note is that Duskwood actually does host a single Horde questline found at the Beggar's Haunt. This series involves Horde players...
Bro, I just can't believe that Blizzard... Bro, I can't believe it was this good. I can't... Like, I'm just smiling because it's like, wow, bro. Like, Classic really was this good.
Assisting undead operatives in developing a truth serum for a human captive in Stonard. While not particularly memorable gameplay-wise, it's significant for two reasons. First, it subtly foreshadows an event that would come expansions later. The undead tell us they were sent to Duskwood at the behest of Varimothras, And given the fact that one of them is a member of the Royal Apothecary Society who is working to develop new alchemical serums, we can interpret this as being a very early clue of the events of the Wrathgate and Varimathros's attempts to form a new Forsaken alongside the Apothecary Society.
Oh.
Second, it kind of perfectly captures the essence of classic WoW questing. Remote quest givers deep in enemy territory with no breadcrumbs leading you there. Half of the quest sends you to collect materials from your ultimate destination in the Swamp of Sorrows, but the other half randomly sends you about as far away as you could possibly be sent, the remote coast of far-flung Desolus, to collect tumors from elite sea giants. All for some of the most mediocre rewards imaginable. Sound like the classic WoW experience? Looking back on
but the
Duskwood's
questing
lore
is
and
still
questing narrative,
top tier.
I have to admit that the original backstory is pretty confused. Pre-WoW, Duskwood's darkness was collateral damage from Medivh's death curse on Deadwind Pass. In WoW, while Deadwind's influence remains, most of Duskwood's afflictions stem from the Scythe of Elun's arrival and subsequent disturbance. It's as if Blizzard mainly wanted to create a Van Helsing-esque zone combining undead and werewolves. They found a way to work in the werewolves with the Scythe and said, right, and that also caused the undead stuff too. Another conundrum exists around the Dark Riders and Morbid Fell. Their connection to Deadwind Pass and Karazhan implies a link to Medivh, and by extension, Sargeras, making Ravenhill's undead a rare example of Sargeras-aligned undead over the typical Scourge Lich King affiliation. Later retcons in comics, novels, chronicle, and revised quests would streamline this lore, providing a more coherent narrative of Brightwood's fall to Duskwood and the Grand Hamlet's transformation into Darkshire. Yet many still prefer the original, messier version of Duskwood.
That's much better. It sounds much better.
Gaps and inconsistencies in the storytelling arguably added to the zone's intrigue. Duskwood seemed inexplicably cursed, as if destined to be Stormwind's black sheep. And if anything, the additions and changes to things like Abercrombie and Stalvan's questline took away from the original mystique of Duskwood. Players embraced the messiness and Stalvan's cursed, as if destined to be Stormwind's black sheep. And if anything, the additions and changes to things like Abercrombie and Stalvan's questline took
Wait, did they change those questlines?
away from the original mystique of Duskwood. Players embrace the messiness to this day. Just
I don't know.
I
would have to play
for
it.
A cozy jaunt through a classic haunted RPG setting.
When you're 85 years old on your deathbed, you're not going to wish you had fewer crazy stories. So let me introduce you to the school games.
When exploring what makes Duskwood great, most discussions naturally gravitate toward its eerie environment, compelling storylines, named elites, and notorious travel times. Elements I've also explored in this retrospective. It's challenging to offer a fresh perspective on a zone whose standout qualities are so immediately apparent. But there are a few deeper, often overlooked elements that truly capture Duskwood's appeal on a more fundamental level, and I want to emphasize those here. First and foremost, the atmosphere can't be understated.
True.
Yes, most will call out the appeal of the dark environment, but Duskwood really is unparalleled in its uniqueness. While both factions have undead zones, Duskwood stands apart. Unlike the Forsaken Lands, where the focus is on rebuilding after destruction, Duskwood portrays the Alliance desperately clinging to their homeland, fighting back from the brink of extinction. Blizzard's execution of this environment is masterful. The WoW Diary tells us that the chief inspiration for Duskwood was the legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Exactly, bro.
The dense fog,
yes. Even when they had that quest in, that little event in retail, or the Headless Horseman, you can tell that it harps back to Duskwood.
Suffocating tree cover.
Well, not really Duskwood, but, of course, that legend, the book, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Flickering torchlight, iron gates,
it all feels connected,
and menacing monsters. They definitely got that feeling across. In fact, Blizzard was so invested in making Duskwood stand out environmentally that originally they were going to make navigating the zone impossible without a torch, from the ultimately scrapped survival skills profession.
Oh, that would have been so. That would have been so good. It would have been such a headache, but it, bro. Imagine, man. Like, imagine the, like that, like really deep diving into like that horror aspect. That I don't know, man. Like, I see the positives and negatives of it. I think I would like it. I would like to maybe one day like someone will actually create some kind of like mod to where it looks like that in game. Like, who knows, but
The idea
that would have been
was
sick.
further teased in a 2011 April Fool's joke where Blizzard announced a dungeon called the Tomb of Immortal Darkness underneath Ravenhill Cemetery that was completely pitch black. While these ideas never materialized, their legacy lives on in the signature blue haze
man.
engulfing the zone. And the attention to detail extends beyond Duskwood's general atmosphere. The micro-dungeons within Ravenhill, the mausoleum and crypt with their secret connecting passageway, are completely unique features in the world. Even Commander Fellstrom, a level 32 elite rare in Ravenhill, drops entirely unique loot, and it's pretty good too.
Nice.
Equally important is the pervasive sense of mystery in Duskwood. I gave longer quest expositions than usual in this video for the sole purpose of trying to play out that mystery element within them. Players truly become detectives here, an experience rarely replicated elsewhere in the game except for maybe the Shady Rest Inn questline. Around every corner is a new, creepy discovery that deepens the zone's already unsettling environment. From unwittingly helping Abercrombie spawn an abomination to following Stalvan's disturbing trail up to a gruesome murder, Duskwood
So
is
good.
steeped in mystery.
Bro,
Even
that
the
is
state of the zone in the first place is an enigma, with only one NPC initially aware of why the land is plagued by darkness and cursed evil creatures. It's this combination, the novel undead theme in an alliance setting, the meticulously crafted atmosphere, and the pervasive sense of mystery that makes Duskwood a joy to experience time and time again. These elements, in equal measure to the often discussed surface features, truly capture the essence of what makes Duskwood such a memorable and beloved zone in World of Warcraft.
wow.
Duskwood's legacy in the broader landscape of WoW or MMOs is surprisingly modest. Despite retcons and expansions altering much of WoW's lore and landscape, Duskwood has remained largely unchanged.
Oh, okay,
Other
so
iconic
it
zones
sounds like they didn't really change the Abercrombie and Stalvan quests.
like the Barrens or Stranglethorn Vale were completely upended, but Duskwood was barely touched in comparison. I think that's a testament to how well it was designed in the first place. Beyond WoW, Duskwood's influence can be seen in small nods across Blizzard's game universe. Stitches made an appearance as a playable hero in Heroes of the Storm, while Overwatch featured a Flight to Duskwood ride in its Blizzard World map, acknowledging the zone's fan-favorite status.
Bro, I play Overwatch and I never knew this was even in the. Wait, was this Overwatch? Yeah, this has to be Overwatch 1. I never knew this was in game.
Ultimately, the true legacy of
Huh.
Duskwood resides within the players themselves. Our collective appreciation for its mysteries, narratives, creepy encounters, and beautifully crafted atmosphere cements Duskwood's status as one of the most memorable and beloved zones in gaming history. This zone embodies the essence of what made classic WoW so captivating, a perfect blend of storytelling, atmosphere, and player-driven experience. Duskwood remains a prime example of how world-building and narrative design, even when it's not that thoughtful, can combine with simple combat and adventure-forward gameplay to create an experience that stays with players long after they've closed the book on a game.
True. Very true.
And that's a wrap for Duskwood. As someone
Man, that
who
was good.
primarily plays Horde, most of my early
so
experiences
good.
of this zone were on the opposite faction. It's always been a mysterious place for me as an outsider, so when I finally played through the zone in earnest when Classic came out, it was like experiencing WoW in a whole new way. I personally think Duskwood is one of the best zones in WoW, and alongside Bloodborne, It's officially entered my yearly playlist when late September and October roll around. I tried to
Good
up
man,
the
good man.
storytelling a bit for this one just to amplify the spooky vibes, in addition to my regular nostalgic and analytical style. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the video in the comments. What do you remember best about Duskwood? Did I leave anything that's important to your memories out? Let me know. And remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and sub to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this. Thanks so much for watching. Till next time.
Wow. Lurker, good, great video, bro. I may have to let me see what else he has. That was, oh, he just has like 8 videos. Wow, next one around is. Okay, he has something on Ashen Vales, the Hills brand. What Hills? Never been there. Huh. Okay, I mean it's pretty sporadic. Terracefall leads. I might check that out. Holy, bro. Nevertheless, guys, give this guy a freaking, give him a sub, man. Like that was so good. This was so good.
It's in classic
Bro.
bedroom.
Bro, again, people praise Classic for a various number of reasons, but the fact that they created so many,
Now roaming the cemetery as a spirit of pure hatred.
bro, the fact that they made so many quests in this zone that was this top tier, like this well crafted, this good, it freaking blows my mind, man. Bro, from Stalvan to Abercrombie to Morgan, bro, like it's so real, and it's so good, and it's so spooky. Like, you really don't like, see, the thing about retail, I mean, especially like in the war within like the jumping point that I'm on, the quests, they feel great, but the thing is, you feel like more like an established character that can really do anything. But with this, man, with Classic, you really feel like, just like Lurker said, you feel like a detective. It's about the actual environment. You know, that's the main selling point. Like, it's not about how you can just blaze through everything, kind of like how you can with retail, man. But like, you actually have to take your time and solve a lot of stuff, piece together a lot of things. It's just, I need to finish Duskwood. Like, I'm gonna finish Duskwood. I have to finish Duskwood. It's so good, man. That's the main takeaway of this video. Duskwood is just so freaking good. I can't believe, bro. Again, man, this quest right here, I still can't believe they put this in a Blizzard game. Blizzard Entertainment. I just letting this soak in. Like, huh? Dude, like, what happened? What happened? I mean, again, I know what happened, but and to see questing, like, to see like the stories they used to tell from back then to now, and like how they're like retconning and changing a lot of stuff, like, just because it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But bro, they really put this inside of a Blizzard game. They put this inside of a Blizzard game. And this was what, I mean, yeah, it was like, what, 20 years ago. In the grand scheme of things, like, that's very short. And like the history, if you want to look at all, you know, the entire span of humanity, like that's like night and day. Wow, guys, go ahead and give Lurker, give him a sub, man, if you can. If you guys are probably already seen this video. I mean, you guys probably already know who Lurker is, but I'm just it's just so good. It's just so good, guys. Enough said. just simply enough said. What a great place. Duskwood, 10 out of 10. Take care. Bye-bye. Inside of a Blizzard game.